In Unit 5, Learning Set 4, you're going to learn about employee basics. This matches Section 6.4 in your workbook. The objective for this learning set is to understand and calculate the value of certain employee benefits. The first employee benefit that we're going to talk about are vacation days. So Alan works for a printing company. It has been a little over 4 years since he was hired. He now makes $54,080 per year. When he was hired, he was told that he had 5 days of paid vacation time. For each year that he worked at the company, he would gain another 2 days of paid vacation time to a maximum of 20 days. How many paid vacation days does he now get at the end of 4 years employment, and how much will he make during the time he is on vacation? So the first thing we want to do is we want to figure out how many vacation days he is going to get after 4 years, because we're looking for after 4 years. So we'll look back and gather information. So he had 5 days when he was hired, and for each year after that he gained another 2 days of paid vacation. So let's lay this out in a table. So I will start with the left column as the number of years worked, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, because we're looking for up to 4 years. In the second column, it'll be the number of paid vacation days. So what we highlighted says he starts with 5 days. After that, he gets another 2 each year to a maximum of 20 days. So in the first year, it'll be the 5 plus 2 additional days. In the second year, it'll be 5 plus 2 more additional days. In the third year, 5 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 gives us a total of 11. And in the fourth year, with 2 additional days, gives us a total of 13. So the amount that they gave us that he started with was $54,080 per year. And the easiest way to break that down is to break it down into weekly amounts, because we don't know how many days exactly are in the year that are weekdays. So we will break that down into a weekly amount by taking the $54,080 and dividing it by 52 to give us a weekly salary of $1,040. Now the number of paid days that he ended up with was 13. So we know there's 5 days in a week, so 5 and 5 is 10, plus 3 additional days. And since our amount is done as a weekly salary, we need to take this 3 and turn it into a fraction. It's 3/5 of a week. Okay, so what we're looking at is 2 weeks of 10 days plus 3/5 of a week, which is 3 days. Add them together, and the 3/5 we would convert to a decimal, which is equal to 0.6, and we end up with 2.6 weeks of vacation. So to figure out how much he's paid, we would take his weekly salary of $1,040, multiply it by 2.6, and he ends up paid $2,704 on his vacation. In the second example, we're going to talk about health care. So most healthcare systems, employees pay part of it for the healthcare benefits, and employers pay the other part of the health benefit. So Frida's employer offers her family health care. Frida must contribute 12% of the cost, and her employer will cover the rest. So Frida gets paid on a bi-weekly basis, and she notices that $88.50 is taken out each paycheck for her portion of the contribution to the family health care coverage. How much does Frida's employer contribute for her coverage? So we need to determine how much she contributes for the entire year, And then we need to figure out what the total is before we can figure out how much is contributed by her employer. So the first thing we would start with is Frida contributes yearly $88.50 biweekly. So we know biweekly means that there's 52 weeks in a year divided by 2 gives us 26 weeks or 26 paychecks. So you would take that $88.50 and multiply it by 26 weeks. That would give us $2,301. Now, her portion of the health care is 12% of the cost. So if we look at it as 12% of the total is Frida's portion, you can kind of use those words to help make it into an equation for you, because you have your 12% of just means multiply. Total, since we don't know what it is, would be X is equal, and then we just plug in the 12% where it's at and how much Frida contributed for the year. So that would be 0.12x equals 2,301. Solve for X, and the total coverage for the year is 19,175. Now we know that Frida pays 2,301 of that total amount. So to determine how much the employer is covering, you would take the total coverage of 19,175, subtract Frida's amount, and that would give you the amount of 16,874 as the employer's contribution. In this third example, we're going to look at pensions. Marina works at Washington Performing Arts Center. Her employer offers her a pension. Marina's employer uses a formula to calculate the pension. After retiring employee, an employee will receive 1.5% of their average salary for the last 5 years of an employment for every year worked. So that whole thing is the formula, and you just turn it into a word problem. So Marina is planning on retiring at the end of the year. After 25 years of employment, she would receive this amount each year until the death. Her salaries for the last 5 years are $88,900, $92,200, $96,000, $98,000, and $1,200. Calculate Marina's pension. So looking back at what we need for the formula, it's 1.5% of their average salary. So that kind of tells us that the first thing we need to solve for is the average salary. So the 5-year average salary would be simply adding all 5 salaries together and dividing by 5. So her average salary was $95,420. The next step would be to determine what 1.5% of that salary is, that average. So you would take 0.015, remember when you convert, move your decimal over twice, multiply it times the 5-year average, and the amount would be $1,431.30. So now the last portion would be, this is for every year. So every indicates we're going to be multiplying. So we're going to take this 1,431 times 0.30 and multiply it times 25 years. And the pension amount that Marina gets is $35,782.50. In this last example, we're going to look at unemployment compensation. So unemployment is something you can get if you're laid off, from your job. So in Reese's state, the weekly unemployment compensation is 60% of the 26-week average for the 2 highest salaried quarters. So remember, a quarter is 3 consecutive months, okay? And you need 2 quarters, so you'll need 6 consecutive months, or 6, months total. So for July, August, and September, he earned a total of $9,024. In October, November, and December, he earned a total of $9,800. Determine Reese's unemployment compensation. So we want to change this because this is looking at things on a weekly compensation, and what we're given is his quarter salaries. So we need to take and figure out, based on 26 weeks being a combination of 6 consecutive months, what the 26 week average is going to be. So the first thing to do is figure out what is the total earnings for 2 quarters. And that would be the 2 total amounts of $9,024 plus $9,800, and it would be $18,824. So now to convert that into a 26-week average, you would take that total earnings for the 2 quarters and divide it by 26, and that would be $724 per week. So the last component of this is determining the unemployment compensation. So we would take our 26-week average, and when we look back up, the compensation is 60%. So we would take that 26-week average, multiply it times 60% in decimal form, and find that the unemployment compensation is $434.40. One thing to keep in mind is that some states have a maximum amount that you can earn in unemployment.